We are live, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mrs. McGraw. And welcome everyone. Let's see, what is this one? Annual organization meeting. Thank you. All right. We will call this meeting to order and we will have Mr. Schmidt lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Just for informational purposes, we have the current serving board members and their term dates. Look at that. So up 2023. This is
Yeah.
November election.
So you have zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3 that will be up for re-election. As zone 4 and 5, the next election won't be until 2025.
Super.
Just for a way of information, Madam Chair, we did attach the election raw manual from Jefferson County to this, as well as trustee zone legal descriptions on where they start, where they end, in different areas on that. So
Super. Thank you for that. Okay. And we'll start off with a call for nominations for the chair to serve for the ensuing year.
Madam Chair, I move that, or I nominate Dennis Cherry for president again.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We'll proceed to vote. Do we need to do a roll call vote? Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
congratulations.
Call for nominations for vice chair to serve for the ensuing year.
Madam Chair, I nominate Mrs. Rigby for vice chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Before you move on,
Yes.
even though I'm not a voting member, that was really nice of you. Like,
I'm passing the torch to Mrs. Rigby. I think she'll do a very fine job.
well, and you also have a lot of responsibilities with the
The executive board of
The executive board.
ISBA, so this works out just fine. So everything's good. Everything's good.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Glenn.
Okay. Call for nominations for clerk to serve for the ensuing year.
Madam Chair, I nominate Carrie for offer.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Call for nominations for treasurer to serve for the ensuing year.
Madam Chair, I nominate Julie Hall for treasurer for the ensuing year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Okay, everyone should have a code of ethics that you need to review and sign. Maybe the 19th. Let's turn those into our new third. Thank you. And we also have a meeting schedule we need to look over and vote on.
Yes, and that, if there are changes to this, board can feel free to make those changes now.
Looks like our summer dates are the only ones that are a little different.
And we did that last summer, so I did look at the calendar. February 16th is a week earlier than we've normally done that. It just fits for this year better. It still follows the regular pattern that we normally would. So it'd be a Thursday, the 16th. March 16th, April 20th, May 18th. And then you have June, July, and August, which would be the 10 a.m. meetings. And then back to September 15th, 20th, 17th, 15th, and 19th.
It's like we need to adjust the year. I'm sorry, there is-
Yeah.
Some of them are done.
Halfway through that, didn't I?
I bet you got interrupted.
Don't make that correction.
Yeah, if you'd like to. Is there any other place, I know tennis, sometimes you had family commitments on August 17th, that is the 3rd. But it has worked fine to have a vice chair
I think
take
that's great.
take the position, and I know that sometimes you're able to get in and be available by phone on Zoom.
And that last week before school starts, you gotta hear about that every minute. So you're usually. Sometimes I'll miss that one.
On the 17th as well,
No, just May.
on the 18th.
Oh, yeah.
Is that one we need to move?
So when are you leaving, Nedra?
Second,
December.
coming back the 19th.
The 19th, so let's look at that, and see.
Is she just updating the year?
Yeah, she is.
This is the 15th, the 20th, the 17th, and the 15th. So September, October, November, December, those dates.
Those
they're
still-
on Friday.
I got halfway through. Mr. Johnson, could you go let her know that, what's starting what month?
September.
In September, yeah. September to the end needs to also be
And this-
adjusted.
oh, yeah. She getting interrupted while working on something. That's odd.
And I think I got through, I'm like, that's probably right, exactly when I'm July 20th, I was like. So with that, on May. It is a Thursday,
Yeah, I guess.
do you want, because
Because they're in school.
The
yeah,
school would be
busy
out.
things.
we felt like it'd be important to have one at least the week before. In case there was any special student circumstances that need to be brought to the board prior to.
Yeah.
With graduation. So we'll wait till, but I think we wait till Perry has that updated. Was there another one that we wanted to update? We'll probably be able to refresh and change
It's
this.
just publishing right now.
Okay, it says it republishes, well. Is the board okay with the 16th of February instead of
23rd.
instead of the 23rd?
Is it the third?
Yeah, it'd be the 3rd instead of the 4th. We've gone back and forth. Yeah, we've gone back and forth, but if looking at the calendar and that one fits the superintendent's schedule.
That's important.
It should be published if you want to refresh.
Okay,
It says corrected. No.
sign in, do I? No.
If you
No.
want to refresh this page.
Refresh this page,
Yeah.
yeah.
The corrected right there. Go up.
Sorry. There it is,
Oh, yeah.
okay. So we have the 16th, and then we had those other dates.
I corrected those.
Mrs. Reagan, we got those changed correctly, right? Yeah, 14.
You're gonna make a new copy.
Yes, I will get you guys a new copy as soon as you voted on it.
September 14th is the 2nd. I wonder if we need to push that back to the 21st.
Yes,
We do, don't we?
yes.
Because the month changed and now that's the
Yes.
19th. The 16th. December. Okay, let's talk about December's though. If we're looking at December, we have the 7th, 14th, 21st. 21st would be potentially the last day before the break. Do we want to have a school board meeting on the last day of break, or do we push it to the 2nd?
It's a 14.
14th, what do you think?
I do.
So
December,
leave it as the 14th in
no,
September?
it's on the 16th, so December needs to be changed to December 14th.
Okay.
There is that's why you need the whole school board here, to have plenty of eyes on that one. And January 19th, 24.
Needs to be there.
Yeah.
January 19th and 24 on that last one.
Time
See, look at this, look at those
I
guys.
think it's still the 18th,
Is it?
19th is Friday,
19th is Friday, yeah.
so it's still January 18th, but just 24th.
You're on 23.
Oh, yeah, January 18th of 24. Yep. My mind, like, 24 seems so far
Right?
out there.
I'm still writing 22.
All right, I'm already feeling a whole year older after
Yeah.
this exercise.
Terrible. Time is flying.
Are we still okay with the times? So good with those.
So the 10 a.m. goes through August then.
I like the times. With executive session starting at 9.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Would you prefer, is the 1:30 okay? Would it be better if we did 1? Does that give us more, like, I don't know, I'm okay either way.
Or because every meeting is a little different.
This is just,
One needs to be longer ones.
yeah,
So,
I think we're okay.
I think 1:30 is fine.
I do too.
yeah.
Let me refresh that.
It's publishing.
Okay. Close that one off. Did you have that one as the corrected, or did you?
Second correct. Because we
You-
can't take any of them down.
No, you were too fast on the first corrected, like the efficient.
I'm supposed to be, aren't I?
Do we have anything
Hey,
that needs?
Go ahead and refresh.
Not this year. Yeah, we could on that. I don't, as long as that.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we go to the second correction. All right. 1824, we do, I like that idea of going to the December 14th, where it's the second one,
And November one's early because of how the
months. just
month
line
fell.
up.
So that's good.
And then everything else looks good. Okay, Madam Chair, looks like we've hammered that out. If we, this will require an action item, and we can do the second correction. Board schedule, if that's what you got.
Okay. I'll just like to add the caveat that we can be flexible. I know if several of you have kids that, I can't remember, modified one meeting last time or last year because of
Something
came up. and
Yeah.
I think we just need to be flexible.
Yeah.
These are recorded now and
The only time they
They're
change
available.
is if as a board, we have had a meeting and we voted on it and then we advertise it appropriately that there is a change. And so that's just the caveat with being flexible, is that we just have to have an action item to do that.
It had to be an action item of an action of the board as a whole. It can't just be a recommendation from administration or one board member.
super. Okay, well, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the second correction board meeting schedule.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the second correction board meeting schedule for 2023.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Mrs. DeGraff, you will get us a new.
I'll print off the second correction.
Thank you.
Before you print it off, there was that little asterisk spot down the bottom.
Needs to be deleted now.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
applicable.
Great. Okay. We're gonna move right into our regular board meeting. So. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Williams, right on to your report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First report of 2023 and a few things to share. Do appreciate Julie helping me with this. She helps put a lot of the pictures in and as we go forward with that. School board stuff, I think the next big thing for you guys is gonna be a day on the hill. Really, you'll be attending that. I believe we have those reservations and everything made, so
Yep, that'll be good.
get everything going with that. I know that with the day on the hill, there's a lot of issues with, concerns with legislation and just the different things that ISBA is involved in. Just wanted the board to know that also on the superintendent side, from the Idaho Association of School Administrators, the IASA, that we're also involved in doing different things. There's a lot of positive things that could be happening this session. There's always different viewpoints when it comes to the way that money is spent towards education, but I know that from the governor's address that he had on the state of the state, he has a lot of high goals and expectations to be able to pass on that additional funding that state has had. So looking forward to that. We'll stay.
Is that at the same time as the day on the hill or? is
So we meet once a month as our school
okay.
administrators, and so I know that in my last meeting, there are some superintendents that will be going over to make addresses to the different committees and things like that. So we're just being aware of all we can do with that. With technology, so our current website, we are looking to move to a different website to give us some more flexibility and also to meet some ADA requirements that are necessary. A new website's really painless. It's kind of behind the scenes. And so here at the district office, we've been working towards that with the technology department, myself, John, Julie. And so we will be transitioning to a new website and an app. And so one reason why that I wanted to look into this as superintendent is when we changed to our communication system this last fall, it limited my ability as superintendent to send out messages to the district as a whole. And so this new app would allow me to be able to send out emergency messages more efficiently and streamlined. And so we'll keep the board up to date as we get that transition done, then I'll be able to come in and say, hey, this is what we're doing. The cost of the old website to the new website was virtually a wash. It was almost paying for the exact same when the rep from the new company mentioned, he's like, where are you at? And I said, well, this is what we're paying. He's like, this is gonna be easier than I thought. And he's like, you'll get all of this for the same price. So
Is that a first year thing or is that
no,
every year's the same?
every year, same price. And so it's very comparable to what we're doing. We're just gonna get an upgrade with the bells and whistles. It's gonna also streamline the way that our website and social medias work. And so it's gonna be easier for us to be able to share good information with the community. And then, this website allows us to meet one of our board goals of having positive relationships with the community. This is one way that we'll be able to improve on that. So excited about that. So I'll show you more once it gets finalized and updated. Maintenance is that one capital letter snow. There's been a ton of snow again. Our maintenance, grounds crew, custodial, they're doing a great job and just appreciate them. Didn't have anything to report on with the food service. I guess the biggest thing would really be if there's anybody listening is get your free and reduced applications in. That's gonna be the biggest one, as Mrs. Warden did say that as she sends out bills, she is sending those applications. So if people are saying, oh, I'm getting a bill this year, because the last 2 years have been free. And so she says little by little, she's getting caught up on those. Update for transportation, our surplus buses have been sold and are now out of the yard. And the new bus has been ordered, so thank you to the board on that special meeting, being able to do that. With all the schools, our tutoring day is tomorrow, from 8 to 11, and with professional development. This is one that I know Julie's gonna put out also. our elementary teachers are gonna be coming in from 12:30 to 1:05. And our high school and secondary is 1:20 to 2 o'clock, but parents are invited to come during any of those sessions. And so I know that we had Eastern Idaho Public Health come in and talk to the kids about the dangers of vaping. This is gonna be more specific to adults. And so if there are parents that want to come, this is gonna be in the chapeltorium on that as well. Mrs. DeGraw, did you have another comment?
I just want the board to let me know if any of them are coming and what time, because if I end up with 3 at one session, I just need to publish a court notice. So if the board can inform me that after the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. DeGraw.
And so,
Can I ask a question?
yeah, go ahead.
On the tutoring day, remind me, is it for everyone?
So the tutoring day could be for anybody that wants to come. But we want to target more for those that really need it.
So not everybody has to come.
They don't, and we're not counting this day as a day in session. It's a teacher contract day. So our teachers are still contracted. The transportation will still go around to pick everybody up, so we're not leaving anybody out that needs to be here. And it is a great time for kids to come and make up tests, do anything else. I know my kids personally have come in and had that opportunity. And the teachers are going to invite. When those invites go out, there are times that parents say, we have other things going on. And so that's a parent choice, but this is one of the options. And I know the high school, this is going to be important, the high school, since COVID, it seems like we've had, and forgive the expression, a deathbed repentance type thing going on when it comes to grades. Like, because when COVID came and we excused certain things, that we're trying to get out of that. And so there's been a tendency over the last few trimesters where sometimes students are like, well, why should I really try? Because the teachers are just going to help me at the end. And at the end of the day, I get credit for the class. We're trying to figure out a way to get back to, no, these are the times that you have to do it. And so the administration is talking to say if kids that are struggling in high school classes for credit, if they're not coming to these opportunities, they're going to be less likely to be worked with at the end of the trimester. And I know there's always extenuating circumstances. You can always talk to an administrator and see what we can do, and each situation is different. But it's hard for us as a school to say we have these opportunities to help kids, and then no one shows up. And then you get to the end of the trimester and they say, hey, what are you going to do for me? Where's that extra day for me for help? You know, that there's going to have to be some consequences. Say the trimester ends, this is the grade you received, and we'll have another step to help the kids after, but it's not going to get it there. So that's a good question you have about the 2 new days. We do have other professional development that's going to be going on in the afternoon besides just the vaping. Again, our principals, our administration have done a great job of setting up the different opportunities for those days to work well. So Mrs. Muen's PE class has been doing a parachute routine that Pam Smith choreographed. Maybe some of you have been at the basketball games. Here's an example of one of at the games where the kids are out doing the parachute routine. I know it's funny because Pam came to me and she's like, some people say, oh, I don't like that, you know, because it's not a cool thing to do. I told my kid, my one son's like, Dad, this was weird. I said, you know what you're doing? I said, you have to learn to work as a team. You have to follow the rhythm. You have to follow instructions. What more important things can you learn than to do that? And my kid's like, yeah. And so like, if this isn't the most entertaining, I'm not saying it is, but look at it in that light, parents, if you can. Like, this is something that is given the kids to go out there and do it in front of people. I know it's not the dancers that you'd have a professional game or something like that, but if our kids, that I told my one son, I said, you have to learn plays in football, and you have to do this and this and this and this and this and follow through. If you can't do it on this with a little parachute, you're gonna have a hard time doing it on the football field. So I'm proud of them and think, just want to put a shout out there to Mrs. Muen and Pam Smith for helping out with that. highlights here, we had two individuals that, with the Voice of Democracy and Patriot Pen, Anthony Schaefer and Isaac Hall, made it to the state competitions, and Anthony got fourth and Isaac got second. He was one place away from being able to have a full paid trip to Valley Forge. I'm sure Mr. Hall was really wanting to go with him, but at the same time, I think he said there was over 8,000 applicants in the state. And so for two West Jefferson, and I talked with Lester Reese, and he came up and he's like, we do so awesome on this, and this doesn't happen without great ELA teachers, you know, from the top all the way down, even all the help that the elementary gives, but Mrs. Erickson at the junior high, to Mrs. Parker, to Mr. Taylor, and to Mrs. Scott, thank you. All of those teachers are building, and here we're seeing like this, some great things happen with the essays, and that is the governor right there, so. Sports right now, we've got our junior high boys basketball is probably the biggest thing. The junior high also had their PBIS activity going on today. West Jefferson High School, one thing I wanted to talk about with this, I know I mentioned it in other settings, but Mrs. Dixon's special ed department has reached out with Voc Rehab with the career readiness program. This is a really cool thing that we have going on at our school right now, where those students who are in special education that are sophomores and above, so I think 15 to 14 and older, have the opportunity to have job embedded support and through Voc Rehab, and also go through the process of applying for a job and then having job skills help, and then they get to be able to get money and get paid for their services. So we are right now just letting the board know that we do have a couple of students that are entering into this, and we'll be learning job training skills, and we're super excited. And as Mrs. Dixon came back from the training in November or October and was super excited about this opportunity, she just said, this is one piece that we've been missing, and now she's so excited. And thanks to Mrs. DeGraw also helping set up the financial parts of that with Voc Rehab. So thank you, Mrs. DeGraw, for doing that. So it's really exciting. Next section, all conference volleyball and football. I was going to put this on here, people that can go back and read it, but a lot of great things that our kids have been doing from football and volleyball. And so last but not least, the West Jefferson Booster Club Blue and White Dinner is going to be on Monday, the 21st. This is a fundraising dinner. They're going to have the raffle, the door prizes, the silent auction. There will be some band entertainment, similar to what we did at the Hamer Christmas program. So Mr. Harrelson and myself, and then a lot of students will be in here on this one, and just playing some music on the side. Like I said, admission is free, so you get what you pay for with the entertainment. But there will be donations and raffles and things on that. That will be here at the district office in the ALC Monday night. And so that's all we have. So thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mrs. Cabral, did we have any comment? No, ma'am. Right on. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I would to approve the consent.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Any comments? Those in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Our first action item is policy 2210.
I'll go back and forth. So we've been discussing 2210 for several months now. This is our school closure policy that is currently in. The considerations that we looked at are that area in yellow, just that if emergency closure hours exceed the planned amount per calendar year, and a deficit of student instructional hours needs to be addressed, that will increase instructional time by adjusting our daily schedules, having school on a non-scheduled school day, or extending school calendar. We would do that anyway. We just felt like this clarifies it. Then there is no confusion when it comes to teachers with the master contractor schedule saying, wait a minute, I don't need to come to school on that Friday because we're a 4-day school. So we still have the instructional hours come first. This just clarifies that. So this is our second reading, and so.
So, on the top of the second page, central administrative personnel.
Yeah.
Why would they have,
So that would be,
they don't seem like, what your maintenance, I can see it. But the business manager and the personnel, we don't even have a personnel manager.
well, it just depends on the nature of the emergency. So if it was something where we need more communication, like, I'm not sure, flooding or something, and this just tells that they shall be expected to come in, but they don't have to. Like, I could call them and say, don't worry about it. And that's usually what we do. But we want the policy to say that if
They're
you're
expecting.
they're expected to come. It's still an expectation to come.
One of
But
the reasons you would want administrative personnel here is sometimes parents miss the message and we'll end up with students being dropped off, and we would need that support to be able to send them.
yeah,
Right, third line down at the bottom, on the new part that you added, just take off a, having
Oh.
school on the notes.
Having a school, so we just need to take out that A. Okay,
okay, so that was just a grammar
Yep.
part. so
then
that-
we can
that
correct
is-
that without it changing.
I just have a question on the superintendent. All the pressure falls on you. What if you're, say, in Mosby? Happens
So actually, this happened twice last year.
twice.
I think the two snow days I was in Boise. And that's why my son said, Dad, aren't you going to Boise? No.
Time for snow day.
He's like, so even when I'm in Boise, I call, I have to be the one that makes the call, but I get recommendations. So when that happened, I called, Mr. Hancock, and in our process go, wherever you at, I called a few other people, and I said, what is it look like? You know, it's one of those things like, I wish it was like whether it was the same on every single section of the district. But I know that I've expressed to the board, especially now that we're in a 4-day, I want to try to find ways that we can be here. I want to stay safe. But I think we can find ways to keep coming to school as much as possible or the start. So it is, but I think the superintendent needs to be the only one that says, all right, we're making the call. And there's times, yeah. And sometimes we look at, you know, if there's an issue with the heating system or something like that, we look into a lot of different things. And I would call the maintenance director and say, okay, is this only working, or how do we look at that? Thank you, but thank you for worrying about me. I appreciate
It's a lot
that.
of pressure.
It is.
On teachers, librarians, psychologists and counselors. I don't know if it needs to be that redundant in the sentence following, but it just says teachers are not expected to report. It doesn't include. So are counselors supposed to? You see what I mean? Group them all together in the
Yeah.
headline, but then not in the.
So we could delete teachers.
Teachers,
That might be easier.
These employees are not expected
Yes.
to report for duty.
There you go.
No form of absence will need to be submitted.
There you go.
Okay.
No,
Do
not
we-
actually change.
so does that change it enough, or we want to push it back to the next one?
Yes.
Yeah,
If somebody have a hard copy, I can take tomorrow.
let's do that, which is fine.
Thank you.
No, that's what it's for. Having more heads look at it, because really, I could read that 15 times and.
And I think we did.
Under factors to consider, number one, you need to add a free symbol. The 20.
Probably, if we can figure out. how
Yeah,
to do
I know
that.
how to do that.
Do we like the 20 below? Does that?
Well,
make-
isn't that the state standard or
There's no,
there's no standard?
You can take that off there, that would be great.
So extremely low temperature, we could just put temperature,
So everybody
Across
can
the
do that
district.
then.
they do.
And it doesn't matter if it's not district
temperature
wide,
across the
if
district.
it's 20 below on whatever
Wherever they live.
they're looking at,
Yeah.
holding you to it.
So could it
Even though-
just say
and that's the
temperature
thing is-
across the district?
But if we look at, no one looks at this sentence right here. The following factors are guidelines used in making decision to cancel school. They are not intended to be the only indicator. So. Just because there's one that hits -20, and I know that one day there were some that. It kept getting colder and colder and colder as the day went on. And I know there were some that said, hey, it was -30 out in the extreme part of the west. Even though it was still 14 and 15 here. You know, we didn't have any issues with buses as kids were coming. We did have a non-gelling issue on a bus that day. But it was one that would have happened if it was 18 below. And so it wasn't and the kids, when they get here to the buildings, it's just hard. It's one of those things where I want to make sure our kids are safe. But if we're looking at this as a business, that's approximately 85 people who get off with pay.
Yeah,
And we're missing, when we're looking at it that way, it's really hard to go, yeah, let's do that, because I know, even if it's -32, where's everybody going as soon as school's canceled? They're going snowmobiling or town or something.
And you do say parents have the ultimate and final decision of
But-
sending their children.
But it is misleading though, because I'm wondering if, when they say, what is the policy?
Would it make sense to put that final sentence underneath the indicators? They are not intended to be the only indicator. You have the 4 indicators and then parents have the ultimate and final decision.
Yeah, you could move it, but maybe you don't put in an actual number on the temperature.
So
Just
what-
say extremely cold temperatures.
Could we just say temperatures across the district is a consideration?
I don't think you have to be beholden to an actual number.
yeah.
It's just a factor. But once you throw that number in there.
Then you probably should say extremely low temperatures across the district.
Yeah.
Hey,
But
would it
should we
only
not?
be extremely cold if for some reason we were in an extremely hot and didn't feel like the school was safe because it was too hot? I think just extreme temperatures
Yeah.
across the district.
I do see that for me. I was, if people are coming, I'm getting,
Screenshots.
I get screenshots. I can show you the screenshots I have right now. I'm sure you guys get them too. Okay, well, that's good, then we can push that back another month, and then if people that watch this and that are here want to go out.
So my question is, with us making these changes now, is this considered a first reading or do we need to make the corrections
Let's
at
make
that?
the
being
corrections,
the
let's
first
make the
reading?
corrections, there's no rush, because even that last one,
We didn't have a chance to really sit.
yeah,
This is perfect. So next month we'll have that be our first reading again.
perfect. Anything else, this,
Put it all out right now.
Right. Do you need a motion to table right then?
Yes, we do.
The chair would entertain a motion to table policy 2210 school closure until next month's meeting.
Madam Chair, I so moved.
Is there a second?
certain,
Those in favor?
My
Any opposed? That motion passes then. Okay, policy 4330.
so here's our second reading of this one. It is on an action item because the second reading, if it is all perfect, you can vote on it to allow it to move forward. But we know that even after we put this out, Tanis said, hey, there's some changes I already want to make, so I'm just gonna pull up the suggested changes, because I don't think. Recommendation, so if you're looking at, I'll pull up the draft of this, let's see. So this 4330, go to this other one, this is the one that was posted earlier, the one that we looked at the last special meeting. And we went through it. Dennis, you said you found a few things that might clarify it, so let's just jump to that one. And they're the ones that are bold. And so just some wording difference. You can see on your hard copy, the purpose of this policy, this policy aims to. One of the things that was brought up in our conversation was to make sure that whether the event is home or away, just to make sure that it's still like, and we put that multiple times in it, so you can see that's only changed the top part. We put held at home and away in the third paragraph. And then the last paragraph.
Okay, go back. You
yeah,
just
yeah.
need to make no.
Uh-huh.
You need to make all of these the same. So
Oh.
you've got representing, you get a.
Yeah, all the same
Same
tense.
Okay.
Yeah. On that, show respect, okay. All the same tense, and then the last part was the requirements for readmission. We didn't have a title on that last part, it just kind of had a paragraph. And so if a participant or spectator violates the expectations of this policy, that makes more sense. Whether it be a home or away event, game or activity. And those violations result in an ejection / removal from the event, game or activity. They will automatically prohibited from admission to any future event, game or activity, whether held home or away until readmission conditions are met. And then the readmission will not be granted until the first one, completed requirements or plan detail or readmission as directed by the school administration or administrative audience. So really, initially, it's gonna be a conversation with them to say, look, board policy says you can't come back until we have either a conversation, and it could be based on the situation, maybe it's just a conversation with them.
Right.
And that conversation is say, you know, you've met the requirements, but it could be a sportsmanship. It could be a lot of different things that whatever we see, but it's hard to put all of those in a policy. Then the second one would be, maybe the first was, we feel like you need to go to the board. And that gives administration the ability to come to the board and say, we've had a situation about an activity, we need to have an executive session where this individual.
So we need to take appeal out of this bottom part and move it to the above these readmissions, because the appeal would be if the person wanted to have the board hear from them as to whether or not that they disagree with shape and they want to have an appeal. So this appeal part needs to be moved up to its own sentence. Does that make sense?
So you'd say appeal administrative directive or something like that?
Readmission will not be granted until the following conditions are met. Let's see. It will probably be above here. If the individual disagrees with administration, they may follow procedures to request an appeal hearing from the board.
The option to appeal.
Correct. So they have the option to appeal, and that part of this, we do need to inform them of that option.
I think if you just flip that and you just say board hearing for appeal of readmission requirements.
Okay, something, we just need to clarify that.
Well, because you're looking at the two purposes that I see of a board hearing is one, they want to either appeal or disagree with what we're saying. And the second one would be, I want them to, you guys.
Well, to establish a plan of some kind, right?
To establish a plan.
So we could put a requested appeal by the patron or by the individual.
Yeah,
Take B off and just put it up there in the paragraph of,
We'll look at it and see which one fits better. And so. This one has significant changes that this will have to
yeah, this is.
have a first reading again next month.
Table this.
What if there's more than one person involved? What if there's a group that
It would
Cause
be handled
chaos.
individually still.
it would still be handled individually?
tonight.
Here's the thing is, the thing is we still. By
We still
state-
have this authority.
state law, we still have the authority. This is just clarifying it. And that's the one thing, it's just, this is just one way to show that, no, this is important for our school board. If this isn't like, if this is what you guys want, you know, I feel like it is.
Just like that.
You know, we've said that before.
The main changes just needed to clarify. We're not just holding you to these expectations in our own game. When you're a visitor at other schools too. You're still representing our school and our community and. you conduct yourself in such a way, so. Okay. All right.
Well, we'll make those, any other changes, I guess we have the,
And where would you like me to get you a hard copy with these changes?
Okay.
I can get to that, and then if you have other notes that you can get to me before our next meeting.
The chair would entertain a motion to table. Policy 4330. Until next month.
Sure, as I move.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Let me say this right. Zella.
yeah, so I've asked Mr. Johnson to put together a curriculum committee. To look at Newsella. I've invited Mr. Johnson to come and share his thoughts. Is it okay if he just stays there?
Yeah, but I'll put this in front of him.
Yeah,
Let's see if he has a change.
yeah, that way you can. If that's all right. Mrs. Rigby, do I need to move that back out of the way? Okay. Can't hide forever. Thank you, Mrs. Rigby. All right. So I've invited him, I'll let Mr. Johnson talk about what the recommendations are from that committee to the board. And then we'll discuss, really, the board will then have the ability to act on the recommendations of the committee.
This was a quick turnaround time. Thank you.
So kind of like Mr. Williams said, I did put on this first slide just the link to Newsella so that if people would like to go there, we can also go there and see it. I'm gonna go on to the next slide. So we did put together a committee. Our committee consisted of a variety of teachers from 2nd to 6th grade because those are the teachers that are going to be using this. And we also shared the 1-week trial with those teachers. And we asked them to also fill out a questionnaire and a little survey that had their thoughts and concerns and questions about Newsella. And these were kind of some of our findings. You want to go on to the next one? So we found out that 83% of our teachers and we also invited, a parent as well. We invited parent input as well. And 83% said yes, they would like to have Newsella. 17% said no. These are just some of the different quotes and things that we got, some information that we got back. One teacher said, absolutely. This will help our reading in 5th and 6th grade become more universal. Another teacher said, this resource is fabulous because each article can be adjusted to different reading levels. Vocabulary is also adjusted to students' levels. I also really like the text set and the book studies. Another teacher said, yes, our current textbooks are outdated and falling apart. Students are more interested in what is happening in the news. If we want students to read 90% nonfiction by high school, then we need the resources for that. Another parent, a parent said, I really like the read out loud, annotations and quiz functions. A teacher said, yes, I feel that our current curriculum is outdated and no longer works for us. In our grade level, we honestly don't use it. A counselor said, Newsela seems to lack content that would be helpful for me to provide SEL in the classroom setting.
So that's just using this resource. It doesn't.
Using this resource as an ESL in the classroom.
I guess my question is that third or that middle comment there.
Mhm.
Why didn't they come to administration and say, this curriculum's outdated, we aren't using it?
Yeah, maybe we need to update.
I think one thing that a lot of the teachers are doing right now is they're finding other resources, and that's what they've been doing.
Oh.
And we also do have the Nat Geo magazines that we appreciate and we are using, so they are using some of those other resources that we have provided. Some of the, if you'll go on to the next slide. Some of the current continued feedback that we got was that it does cover the standards for comprehension, foundational reading skills, and vocabulary development in ELA. It could also be used to support as a supporting tool for science, social studies, and Idaho history, as well as writing. It would replace some of the outdated curriculum, including my perspectives in 5th and 6th grade 2017 and Hope and Mifflin 2005, 2006, and 2007 versions.
Do I remember correctly, you saying that you could change it to Spanish?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can. You can
So
click on it.
why would an ESL teacher say that?
Oh, sorry, that's that's a great question. That's an
Oh,
SEL.
I thought you said ESL, and I thought it was the time.
So that's the counselor that was on the committee that was reviewing this. Because one that, when Mr. Johnson looked into Newsela, they did say there's an SEL component
Okay.
to it.
Mhm.
And so, but when our counselor looked at it, it didn't really jive with what our counselor is providing already. And so,
Because I had a lot more articles and what he needs is more tools to use in the classroom as a lesson, not necessarily let's read an article about it, especially in the elementary levels. Okay,
so I think what that tells us is that it might not have been the magic curriculum for all of them. But if the board considered this and we move forward on the committee's recommendations, the counselor wouldn't use it. That's basically all that's to say, right, Mr. Johnson? Okay.
What was that? Sorry.
So the last one, you talked about the out of place ones, and so these would be like the anthology books. If you're thinking of an ELA classroom, Nedra, that's what's gonna really replace.
It really replaces the comprehension and the vocabulary part of it and not the intervention. We still have 95% as our intervention of our reading program. We still have, other things there. We still have writing and different things that this is not going to replace those, but it will replace the reading part in the vocab.
One of the things as I was reading about it was that they get all of their information from like mainstream media, so it tends to just a little less reading. So our teachers would have to be discerning.
Yeah, I think one of the never brought that up.
Yeah, one of the slides addressed that.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
So these are.
So that's a great segue. I think we're right on to it.
Great segue.
Okay.
So these are some of our concerns and solutions that as a committee we came up with as well. One of them was being able to hide the articles and topics as well. I know when we talked about it earlier, one of the questions was, can you hide specific topics? You do unfortunately at this point have to search the topic and then hide 3 individual articles. However, Newsela, when I did contact them, they are testing a better way to hide those articles. But it's not currently available for users at this point, but it is something that they are working on. But articles can be hidden by administrators and by teachers, and they can be hidden as a school level and also by grade level. So we can say, okay, this is appropriate for these grade levels. We just search in the topic and then hide those articles. Another thing, another concern that the committee came up with was the communication, because they do have quizzes on there. The communication between our LMS, which is our Otis, and our grading system that we have. And as of right now, Newsela won't automatically move our scores into the LMS. However, they have sent that information to their development team in hopes of correcting that concern as well.
So we can do that specifically just for hours to have a community.
That's something that we're looking into.
Okay.
And a lot of these companies are really open to like with their technology departments to figure out, hey, this school needs this. This is the tool that we're selling. Is there any way that it will communicate with their LMS? And so I've seen that both with Otis, and it sounds like Mozilla would probably.
So a lot of these, they want to work with those different companies, but because there's so many different LMSs out there, once they hear about them, they look into it and see if that's a possibility, so. Another concern was that, like we talked about earlier, that some of the content may be perceived as one-sided. And as going to the left side, like Linda said. As a committee, we also agreed that this could also be used as a universal perspective and teaching tool in comparing two sides and teaching opposite points of view, opposing points of view. Teachers will be directed to teach to the standards and present both sides of the topic. And so instead of just hiding it.
Yeah, so I'm saying this is the article, and because it's coming across a screen, you need to believe everything that you see. Like, especially when you look at these standards right here, the third grade standards.
And so there are specific, and that's where I was gonna go next, there are specific standards that address these and a proper way to address it, and that's what we would want to hold our teachers to, is to teach to these standards. For example, in third grade, they do have a standard that says evaluate whether a digital source is factual or opinion by considering its use of evidence and whose point of view is represented or missing. Another one is analyzing point of view or cultural experiences that represent diverse choices and perspectives in works of literature.
These are Idaho standards. These aren't ones that we pulled from Washington, DC. These are standards that were barely passed in Idaho, and you know, and I know that's a concern that I've expressed, you know, in our work meeting, and Mr. Johnson, you had teachers who also expressed that same thing.
Yeah.
And so as we look at any curriculum tool, as long as our teachers are directed to teach the standard, presenting the views, not to try to push agendas. And really, if we're trying to be balanced, even if the agenda is not the same one that we view, as long as it's taught, you know, and our teachers we're not going to tell our teachers, go find the most controversial thing and bring it up with your 5th and 6th graders. No, like the whole purpose of this is to give the kids a chance to read, analyze, answer questions, give us a tool as teachers to say, yes, you're understanding, or you need more help with understanding. And so we don't have those tools available, but you're absolutely right. Could it have some content that's perceived as one-sided, whether that's one-sided to one side of the political aisle or the other side of the political aisle? So I don't know, that is the real question, you know, as you're looking at this, do we not look at this, you know, and so I don't know.
So one other question, if it can change from say a 3rd grade level to a 5th grade level, are they gonna be getting this again in 5th grade, or are they just?
The articles are updated.
Okay, so this is more,
updated.
it's not gonna be.
So it's on current news, isn't it?
It's not gonna be.
Some of it's on current news, but they also have different
Like science and
history,
animals,
and they go
history,
over
and
like different authors and there's all kinds of things in there, so.
we'll go to the next one, pros and cons, and circle back to this.
The pros and cons of Newsela. So these are some of the pros that we found out as well. One of the big ones that the teachers and the committee loved was that all the articles are at the students' reading level. And I know a question was asked earlier that as they continue to progress, does that change with them? And it does. So as they continue to answer questions correctly on their quizzes, it'll move them up in levels as well. However, if it gets to a point where it's too much, the teacher can also go in and put it back down if needed. They're easy to navigate, it's engaging, it's connected to the standards. They have more access to informational text. There's a variety of genres. They also differentiate their vocabulary as well. So when they do their vocabulary quizzes, it also automatically changes with them as well. It's updated daily and won't be outdated. The program also analyzes and adjusts to their skill level. So those were some of the pros that the committee really liked about it. To continue on with some of the pros, they liked the ESL student part of it, that you could switch it to Spanish very easily by clicking on that button. They liked the quizzes and writing prompts that were available. The book studies, the annotation function, as well as that lesson plans were available with the articles. They like that they can also use this as a tool for cross-curricular text as well. They like the online curriculum can also be accessed at home, and that data was readily available for vocabulary and comprehension. So the teachers have access to the different charts and reports. So the last slide that I have is kind of what we came up as a committee and what we would like, our proposal and plan. So the committee would like to purchase a 6-month ELA subscription to Newsela as a beta test for Territon Elementary School, 2nd grade through 6th grade. And we'll utilize this resource with an emphasis of implementation in 5th and 6th grade reading classes. The total cost for Newsela is $1,200 for the 6th month at Territon only. We would like to then in May reconvene and discuss with and get some more feedback. And from there decide on a recommendation for the board if we would like to commit to a 1-year or a 5-year plan for Territon and Hamer Elementary Schools.
So after you're looking, because initially when we thought you could go to a 5-year. But knowing that, hey, this is something that you want to just test out. And because it's a curriculum, we'll still want to have board approval. But then we're not stuck for
We're not
5
tied to it
years.
for 5
with
years.
that.
We're gonna try it 6 months is what we'd like to do. And see.
Yeah, I think that's cautious, but conservative way to go into it. I think that's the biggest thing that, I heard is when you're saying, well, these are all coming from the news media. Is that going to be different than what the majority of our community looks at? And I know that that's what, when you look at some of the reviews on this and some of the concerns even from the teachers, that was a concern. But again, our teaching staff here, they know, and Mr. Johnson, we're not going to use any tool. Because you could take any tool that we have, find supplementary curriculum that pushes an agenda, and that's not the purpose of our public school. And that's not what we want our teachers to do. But if we throw the baby out with the bathwater and say this has the potential of having something in it that I don't agree with, so let's just pull away from it. I worry that we're not teaching our kids what is that the evaluate whether a digital source is factual or opinion based, considering its use of evidence. Because when you look at what type of media do our kids that own their own phones look at all the time? They're going to be going to Snapchat and they're going to, and different things that put the different articles on those. We just believe it because it's on the phone. A lot of times kids do. And this would be a great way to have it structured to say, here's an article, maybe you believe this, maybe you don't, and it's not right or wrong. So that's our conversation.
And I know on the committee, one thing that was brought up as well is the majority, I think, are 5th and 6th grade, maybe the history classes there, that's where they're gonna have those views. Most of our younger grades, like I know 3rd grade teacher had mentioned, she's like, I'll be honest, if it's a political or it goes one side or the other, I'm probably not going to use that article in my classroom. I'm not going to assign that. Now, whether a student searches it or not, that's another story, but then we can decide which ones we want to lock in. But the majority of the teachers in those, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade are going to use the history ones, are going to use the science ones, are you going to use those ones that just have facts that aren't a bias.
And
Any other questions for Mr. Johnson? Comments?
any discussion on the board, what do you think about that
One
recommendation?
more comment, and I think that's a. I'm surprised they went this conservative. I'm glad to see that. Because that makes me think they're aware of what could go on, you know. So I think that's a really good conservative recommendation. Plus the cost is against the textbook. And by how many textbooks, not even a classroom.
No,
I think the information lasts a little bit longer. I mean, I know things are outdated. When you look at a textbook and how it beat out, it's just a short period of time. And those kids are not taking those textbooks home, so it's not something that they can do from home, and this is something that they can access. And continue to show interest in away from school. That's that benefit.
I think after that trial period, if we could hear from the parents and see, we got, you know, one parent, and a lot of teachers, I think it'd be good to hear from that group of students, parents.
send out a
and just-
survey as part of that.
Just say, what did
as
you
part of that
see
data review.
interested you?
What did you?
Yeah, maybe make the survey, what did you like, what didn't you like? What can maybe changed?
But I do think it's a good thing to try. I think that's not even a drop in the bucket for a prize.
Yeah,
So if it's that much better and updating, we don't have to have textbooks and that kind of thing. Well worth the investment, I think.
Yeah.
All right, on the floor, be open, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the 6-month trial of Newsella.
Madam Chair, I so moved.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you for your.
Be interested to hear further on.
yeah, it's gonna be good. Thanks, Mr. Johnson, for all your hard work with the committee.
Thanks for putting this all together. This could be a great curriculum update.
So.
We'll move right on to the supplementals. I think.
So just as a way of information, from our special meeting that, we will be holding a supplemental levy election on March 14th, 2023. The supplemental levy will not increase, and so we're, we've attached on here the resolution, the official resolution, that was sent to the county. And the supplemental levy information. So this is all stuff that's been out there. Yep, we've already given you nothing new. This is just again one more time, just to advertise it. Go to 6.2, you ready? So in 6.2, I did just want to inform the board that Eastern Idaho Public Health has received a grant for rural schools for vape detectors. And we will be receiving some free of charge from Eastern Idaho Public Health. And so they've asked that if you're one of the qualifications is that our staff members are trained in Catch My Breath. That is a class that we will be training all of our health teachers on tomorrow, actually, and administrators, and which will allow the district to teach 4 classroom modules, basically 4 mini lessons on the dangers of vaping. So I know we held the big, huge assembly, and sometimes that goes right over the head of some kids, and some kids it will hit. But really, education is going to be our only chance to really help with this. And so, after our teachers are trained, Mr. Hadley will be trained for health in high school, Mr. Rivera's will be trained for health in the junior high, and Mr. Mackey is going to be trained. Even though he's teaching history, that would be the better place for him to maybe have some modules with the kids in the 5th and 6th grade. And so once we're trained on those, they'll be able to adapt that, they'll be able to give us that information. And so with the 10 vape detectors, they have some recommendations about hardwiring them in instead of having them run through battery. So they could be remote with battery. They say they tend to work better when they're hardwired into the internet because they throw back communication systems to it. So the areas that we've identified with the restrooms in the high school, the locker rooms in the high school, the Panther Den locker rooms, and the junior high restrooms.
So they detect it. Does it make a big squeal or?
So then it sends a message directly to administration.
To administration.
So
And that's
detection,
on their phone.
an app on our phone.
I see.
So if there's an app on our phone, boom, this would go up. We'll have the time that it's there. Administration would be able to go investigate or go to the cameras to see who's going in. There's always still some deniability, like how do you know, but there's a pattern. But if it would deter kids from wanting to do that here at school, then that would be better. So we are still looking at to consider, okay, where would we put the other two at? Because that was just 8. Is it better to put them in the Panther Den restrooms, which are also the public restrooms during the events, or would it be better to put them in the elementary restrooms? I know you're like, I don't know, kind of
I see.
wanted to discuss that with you guys and see what you think.
Can I put in?
Nedra thinks Panther Den, unless the junior high kids are like, listen, I'll go they've done in the elementary one, but I don't know.
When you say elementary, it's not the, I just got junior high.
Yeah, when I say elementary, I mean right at the front office. Panther Den makes more sense
Mhm.
because you would have a potential for, doing activities and things, but we could purchase 2 additional ones outside of the grant with our own money. And it's
The cost is.
I need to ask her, I'm gonna ask her tomorrow. But. Yeah, these units here are right around $1,000.
For all of them?
No, per
So we wanted to get 2 additional, it would cost the district $2,000.
approximately 2,000 more.
So do your junior high kids opt in? Elementary restrooms? Is there a line there that we're like, we don't want older kids around?
The only time that they do is if there's an issue with that restroom. So like if they have to close it for cleaning, sometimes the kids will come back.
Or if they're down here helping in the office or helping in another country.
Yeah, it's rare. So, as we're talking this out, it almost sounds like the Panther Den restrooms make more sense.
And I just want to make a clarification, this is just recommendations from the board, this is not a.
Yeah,
Right, and it doesn't say anything about what you do when you find.
So-
Well,
No.
it's these 2 programs up here,
when you find
in
kids,
depth is not for me,
yeah.
it's about educating. the
So,
students.
yeah, so the in-depth stuff, that's what, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
So this is not, this is just an overview. This is not all the procedures that we
This is not the enforcement.
use.
Well, and the purpose of these aren't to catch and punish the students, it's to help protect them.
And so to answer your question, if a student is caught vaping, here are the options, but this is what we do. Parents will be notified.
That's part of the drone.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Parents are notified, they're brought in. We have done this already. So we have students who have come in, talked with administration and parents. We have students who have been going through the 3-hour module in-depth part as part of communication. So we've already chosen to do that instead of just suspending them and kicking them out of school.
Okay.
The other things that we look at, another option we could have is to also turn it over to law enforcement and have a citation directed to the student.
And that's where it follows what we have in the drug.
Yeah.
Policy.
Yep, that's where it's at. So this is just the information on that. So
So the restrooms, and locker rooms, that's basically the only place in the school where the camera is not gonna
yeah,
see it. So really, that's
and
all you.
it's a
need
start.
per se, yeah.
It's a start. At one of my administrative meetings, we did ask, how do you feel about these? And some of the schools that have put these in, they say, you know what, it's good, but just be ready to have procedures in place for when you do find them, because it's gonna happen. And so those are the plans and procedures that we do have.
And then there's an additional cost to hardwire them.
Yes, and that's gonna be one that we would have to incur on ourselves, either plant facility, or if there's any safety money left in the bond.
Yeah, could any ESSER funds be used for
Yes.
wiring these?
I believe Esther could.
Because it's a safety deal, isn't it?
It's an air quality.
Air quality,
Yeah.
so that's something, we could definitely look at that, it could almost be a good price for that, so.
Yeah.
Good suggestion. So, any other questions on this? I just.
One other thing, hopefully the kids aren't smart enough to be able to disable.
We'll have.
They're hardwired, they have to get clear to the ceiling before they.
And they have cages.
Okay, just so they're, can't be tampered with. That's what my question was. Anti-tampering.
So do you notify the students? That these
That these are in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It just deters them to.
I think more of a deterrent.
One thing that does do is it protects the students that aren't vaping from being exposed to those.
Yes, those chemicals are toxic.
Yeah. So. But Madam Vice Chair.
Okay, so we will move on to 6.3.
Hey, this one again is just another information. Just wanted to share with the board. There's a youth endowment for activities that was established in 1996. This was just an endowment, and what it, an endowment is just you put money in and then later you get money back. West Jefferson is part of this endowment already. So far, we've only paid in 50% of what it is, but I really wanted just to get this out just in case anybody had any donations that they wanted to, they're like, what am I gonna do with all my extra money? If they wanted, they could donate to the youth endowment activities for West Jefferson. If you look down at the bottom, schools that are in 2A, if they paid $1,000 annually for 25 years, it takes 25,000 to be invested, West Jefferson still needs to pay 12,000 in to be fully vested. But what this looks like, it's not $3,000 a year. That'd be like a phasing return, and I'll only invest in not my retirement. But what it does is if we were fully vested, we would get around $1,000 approximately if our softball and track and wrestling, those are the non-revenue sports. So it helps out just a little bit. It's not like a huge windfall.
So this distribution is what we would have received had we been fully vested since this program began.
Since we started, so on their website, you can go to the report and it shows all the different schools that have done that. I wonder if I should just go to that, just give me a question on it, but it's just one of those things that we want to just make awareness. So if you have people in your guys' area that is like, hey, I'd like to donate to this. One way that we do donate to it is when our teams go to a jamboree, which we had, like, our jamborees this last year got canceled for different reasons, but if we go to a jamboree, they charge admission to jamborees. And then what the whole school does is they split that up between all the schools in the jamboree, and then they send it to the youth endowment. And so that's how it starts building on it. So we do receive approximately $500 a year from this endowment. But
Well, into our endowment.
into our endowment, yep. So, any questions on that? I just wanted to. Something like this. Hey,
Honestly, we need to schedule a work meeting.
We have received the 7,000 series from ISBA. And it's Pepsi,
So they will help me on that.
yeah,
it's
but
Deb.
7,000 is our financial policy. And we really need to spend some time digging into it.
You're not going on the cruise yet, are you?
No,
Yeah, so you can dig into this one.
This is like whenever you have scheduled, I'm going.
I know this last month, we did it on the second Tuesday, like the 7th, with that 7th or the Monday the 6th. Is that something that could work? for you?
I will be gone,
You, the whole week?
and that's not just because of this, but I will be gone,
There
I promise.
goes the cruise.
Oh,
What is that whole week off for you?
Yeah.
That whole week would be
gone.
unavailable.
I won't be back till the 11, 12. So
Well, I'm not the only one that uses town.
Would we prefer to do it before? What, Wednesday the 1st? Is that something?
Pick a day with not snow.
it's hard right now.
June?
Yeah, you're gonna be right.
We don't have to do it early morning. We could schedule it for 11.
Have a lunch. I think what's gonna happen is we could get the packets out,
Yes, I will get some packets out.
because there will be some hefty reading.
Yeah. And the packets, what I'll send to you is I'll send you the required policies that we're required to have.
Yeah.
I've divided them out, and then the until we get through it, our procedure book, unless there are things we need to move over into policy. So I'll get both of those sent to your email. You want a hard copy?
Yeah, I think you.
It's nice to be able
Okay,
to sit
yeah,
and
I'll
write on
get
it.
you a hard
Yes,
copy.
you want a hard copy.
Who would like a hard copy?
probably
Everybody, okay,
Yeah, let's
I'll
do
get
that.
those printed off and. Probably by Monday or Tuesday, well, after the 25th, you guys can come in.
After payday. Well, then if that's the case,
Should we do it the first?
let's do February
Yeah.
1st.
Okay.
And that at least gives us a start.
Is 10 o'clock better for you, Kendra?
That's fine, but if it's a good day, I can come anytime.
Yeah,
February 1, I'll make it, whatever you say.
Let's do 10.
10.
10 o'clock.
Okay.
The floor will be open for a motion to adjourn.
I'm sure I move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Right.
Okay.
Any opposed?